The last 2 days have been hard, and there's been so much anxiety because you hear that the numbers are going to be increasing and growing, and we're just kind of like bracing ourselves for this wave.
We work in a field, intensive care, where we really do have to support each other. So you build that bond with each other, with the other nurses on the unit, because you go through some stuff, that's not easy stuff, and not a lot of people understand.
It's scary working in the COVID intensive care unit, right? These patients are very sick, and you're very scared for the patient because they're critically ill and very sick. And it's scary being around people with the infection, for being scared about contracting it yourself and getting sick. But despite that, the nursing staff, the respiratory therapy staff, they come in and they care for these patients like it's any other day in the intensive care unit. They just require a lot more personal protective gear to keep them safe during the management of them.
Our job isn't easy, but this week specifically, there have been so many people who are reaching out to us, healthcare workers, and offering us a helping hand or a care package dropped off at our door randomly.
I got so many videos sent to me last night of healthcare workers being applauded as they leave the hospital, and we've gotten so much food sent to us, and honestly, every little bit helps. Not having to go to the grocery store on your day off because you'll be fed at work the next day. It takes that that stressor out of your day off so that you can actually rest and recover and be ready to take care of these patients, the next day.
One of the nurses I worked with today walked around and just told jokes all day because we've just been crying so much. She just wanted everybody to keep laughing and keep moving.
We understand that staying at home, sheltering in place is hard, but the alternative is truly heartbreaking.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.